because there's this lie, I think, that we say, like, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
But that's like, what we're really saying is, I'm doing this for our little child in myself that I haven't accepted, and I'm trying to gain recognition from everyone how great I am. Of all the investments I've ever made, the investment of my marriage is the most important and best, highest paying dividend investment I've ever done.
So trying to think of how to tie this in. Is there anything off limits with your story? Anything
No,
I know?
we can talk about whatever.
I'd love to hear about your tough times with your partners, what you went through there.
Yeah.
I don't think you even mentioned that earlier, but it'd be cool to get it here for Ty's audience.
Yeah, man.
So in June of 2006, I got like a really early morning phone call on my landline, which I don't even know my landline number.
Right.
I didn't even pick it up the first round of rings, but then the second round, I finally pick it up, like fraud, like just, and I'm like, what? And it's my business partner saying, hey, our plane crashed. Like nobody's heard about what happened after the plane left St. George, Utah last night. I turned on the news and it confirmed that a plane had crashed in the Utah Lake. So my two 35-year-old partners had died in the plane crash. Both had wives and kids, and both of their wives were pregnant at the time. So for 4 months, I did nothing but work. Come on, here, Breck. This is at the time he was 1. So this guy was 1 at that time. And I just didn't see him because he would be asleep when I left for work in the morning. And by the time I go home late at night. And then finally, 4 months later, we were driving to Thanksgiving dinner. And my wife just looked at me and said, you know what? You're an extraordinary businessman, but an ordinary husband and father. And so like, that really hit me.
Yeah.
I realized like, I thought I was preserving their legacy and doing the right thing, but I was losing my life along the way and my family. So thank God she was bold enough to kind of call me out on it.
Yes.
And I actually officed that whole December from my house. Wow. And just spent a lot of time with them and was rejuvenated and energized. And it really made a huge difference. And, that's why I started writing my book, because I was energized. They'd take a nap. I'd start writing because I had all this like free time, where before it was just demands of helping everyone but myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was 2014.
That was 2006.
2006. So what led up to that point? Why would your wife call you out like that?
Because she never saw me.
Okay.
And if I was there, I was like emotionally unavailable.
Okay.
And
did you dive into work because of the accident? Like you felt
100%,
like
because I felt like we had that office and those two partners ran that office. We had 3 offices. So I'm trying to run my office and that office. And they were big personalities. We didn't have good systems in that office. They just had 2 big personalities. So, and everybody's mourning and grieving. And it was a lot. I was like 29.
Oh.
Or no, I was younger than that. Wait. No, I was like 25.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like 25 years old.
So she called you out at a young age.
Yeah, she's always been good at that. Like, it's not like she doesn't say things often, but when she says them, they're important.
Dude, I so get that.
Yeah.
I so totally.
And she'll let me go through my process a lot of times when I know she kind of knows what it looks like on the other side, but knows I need to. She's like a mirror and holds it up. It's like, do you like this? Is this what you want?
Isn't it funny when you start to really identify like what your purpose is? Because we're so blinded by like, we need to work harder, provide for our family. But then what happens is, at least for me, is that they're the ones that are put on the back burners. They're the ones that suffer the most. They're the ones that only get the fumes. They're the ones that only get the crumbs when you show up. And I'm still guilty of it. I wish I could say, yeah, I figured this whole thing out when I was 25 years old. And I want to get choked up about this, because Jana has been my rock for so long, and she's same way as sounds like a lot like your wife is. When she says something, I have to listen. And she doesn't say much, because she's my ride or die. She supports all my crazy ideas. And we laughed about this on the way down the road, and she looked at me, and Ed Milet talks about like, you're the one. And she looked at me in all seriousness, and she's like, you're the one. But then she kind of took it back, and she's like, we're the one. And there is no truer words spoken than that we're the one, because if she wouldn't have co-signed all that crazy shit, we wouldn't be where we're at. And who do you think I'm laying in bed with at night when I'm having a bad day?
Comforting you, making you feel safe, helping you through it.
Yes, absolutely. So big shout out to those women that support us men.
Y'all got me almost crying over here.
Right. And I'm going to probably shut up before I actually start bawling here, but anyhow, it's just funny and where we came from today. And again, it's not perfect, but through those trials and errors, that has made our relationship and our family much stronger today, and has plus given me empathy for those around me and their families to make sure that they get enough time spent with their families so they can grow their families, because it's not always about how much money is in our pocket. Because for the longest time, I thought as long as my children had brand new shoes on for the first day of school, we're winning. Right. But it's way more than that. And up until this year here, Rocket started school at Votech, and he goes to school pretty early in the morning. Typically, I would already be out the door for 2 hours. But this year, he actually starts school at 6:15. The school bus comes and gets him. And this is actually the first year I've actually been able to be with him in the morning and watch him get on school. I don't know how many first days of schools I've missed, how many first football practices and all that stuff, because dad's got to work so you can have the new spikes on the field. And I think that all that did for me was nothing positive. It burnt me out. I got stressed out when I came home, again, talking about the fumes, the crumbs, putting them on the back burner and taking care of everyone else. And that's what I thought. I thought I was winning. And really, I was losing at home. This is the point that I guess I'm trying to make. And I'm sure you can elaborate way more on it than I can, or you.
Yeah, for me, I talk about Mags a lot. And we were super young when we got together. It's crazy because at the time, like, I'd been out of high school for a couple of years, was already in the Marine Corps, already at the fire department, like felt like I was a man. Played the game, dated a bunch of chicks, but in reality, I was 20 years old. She was 19. She's in college. And now we're almost 13 years in, we were just babies when we were getting started. And part of it is just the ability to grow together, because you're going to grow as a human being, as a business owner, as a leader, in whatever way you want to think about it, you're going to grow, and she's going to grow too. And so for us, it's just been doing that together. For me, for years, I was doing that personal development. She wasn't really on the train. And this was probably like 2020, I think. I felt like we were kind of distant. And not because of her. I'm not blaming her for not doing personal development. It's my job as the man, as the husband, to bring her alongside of me. And so we did. We started Cornerstone Kids, our nonprofit, and that really changed everything. I still remember we were driving back from Indianapolis. We got to like Nashville, and I just opened up to her, and I was like, babe, I feel like you're the best supportive wife I could ever ask for. You're a great mother at this point. We had Turner. He's like 2 years old. And I said, but I want you to be ambitious about your own thing. For me, I was just super honest with her. Like, I want you to be ambitious about your own thing. That's something that turns me on. Like, I don't want you just supporting me. And so we started the nonprofit. And from there, man, like, our marriage has just gotten better and better and better and better, creating some of the exercises like Embedded that now we do with our kids, and seeing her get on the kick, huge fitness kick. She's way more religious about it than I am, and personal development, and Joyce Meyer and Tony Robbins and John Maxwell. And dude, our marriage is just, it's great. Not to say we don't have tough times, but we get it. We know there's going to be tough times, but we're not going to run from it. We're going to run to it and figure it out.
And by being able to take care of yourselves, you're more willing and able to get through those tough times because you've been working in unison up until that point, almost like preparing yourself for those moments.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to hear some more from you.
All right. Well, I think I've been married for 21 years now, and it still feels really fresh. Like, I always joke, I'm like, hey, you staying the night again?
I love that.
And it's like just crazy that we have so much time together, and that we have these kids that we both love to this deep degree. And like, I love when we just do coffee in the morning, put on a record. We'll sit there and talk for an hour before I'll do my morning ritual. Then sometimes we'll do that. Then I'll go start my day. And in the past, if it was like back in 2007, I would have never carved out that time, because there's this lie, I think, that we say, like, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
But that's like, what we're really saying is, I'm doing this for our little child in myself that I haven't accepted. And I'm trying to gain recognition from everyone how great I am. where the people that think we're so great are already there and admire us. Like when my kids I have a joke. I'm like, when they used to think I could take Mike Tyson, when they're little, I was like, that's easy when they're little, but how do you stay a hero in their eyes because of how you show up for them and how you love them? And she was always really good at like showing me that. And I feel like of all the investments I've ever made, the investment of my marriage is the most important and best, highest paying dividend investment I've ever done. Because it was like that 2006 year was only the second worst. It was really 2008. I'm over leveraged in real estate. I have multiple businesses, and I went from just 10 straight years of growth. Like irony is 2008, I'm hitting the Inc. 500, I'm hitting New York Times, and my business is declining. So like outwardly, it looks like everything's perfect. Inwardly, I'm like having a crisis of like, who am I? Do I even deserve to be her husband? All that kind of stuff. And so for 2 years, I'm emotionally unavailable, and we have 2 young kids. And then on the other side of that, it took a while for me to build trust with her that I would be there, that I would listen to her, that I wouldn't put the business first, that I wouldn't make this mistake a third time. And what ended up happening is in 2012, I just showed her. I didn't tell her. I just put her way ahead of the business. And my partner was like, look, we'll get the business. We'll improve margins. We'll cut back on some things. But even if we lower our revenue, our margins will leave the profit the same. And I remember her looking at me being like, are we okay? Like, you're home all the time. And like, she was just worried. Like, are we going to have money coming in? Yeah. I brought her and the kids on the few speaking events I did that year. And we just had the best romance that whole year. It was like so rewarding. We never missed a date night. We did all this kind of stuff. We created a vision for our marriage. We created these rhythms, and then we've kept those. Like if I'm gone more than 4 nights in a month, then I take a day off during the week. Right.
They actually had sex twice that year.
Really?
Twice. Yeah. Really romantic. We've only had sex twice. My son's right there. We've had 2 kids. Like actually their favorite jokes are the most inappropriate jokes around that kind of stuff.
You're not
and my wife's always
all,
like,
are you?
but like that's the thing is it was hard for me to learn like how valuable family is and how lucky I am that I've got these great parents, I've got great siblings, and it takes work because we don't always see the world exactly the same, but we find a way through it. I've got great in-laws, I've got great, it's like I think of how rich all that is and how important that is as a base and a foundation. And in my 20s, I would have just never considered that at this level because it was all about my status and how many employees I had and how much revenue I did and how much I was growing. And did you think I was cool? Like that was a huge part of it. And I still have bouts of that. I still want to have the best-selling financial book in history of all time. I still want people to read it and tell me they love it. Not like I still like that. Yeah. But it's not what it was in my 20s.
The purpose is different this time. And it's so funny
I have better perspective finally.
Exactly.
And who knows what I'll say in 10 years that I'm jackass today, but that's part of being alive is we just keep learning our lessons if we're willing to learn them.
Totally. It's so different how we look at success differently today than we did then. Right. You're talking about your family and your in-laws and all those people. And I'm thinking to myself, that's your success.
Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And if you're enjoying these videos, well, there's good news. More where that came from. So go ahead and click through and watch the next video now.